Hello, here's my virtual library. For contemporary realistic fiction, my favorite book was The Invisible Boy, written by Trudy Ludwig and illustrated by Patrice Barton. It's about a boy, Brian, who is basically alienated within his class. He has no friends and doesn't get chosen to play at PE. Even the teacher doesn't include him very much. It isn't until a new kid starts that includes that the new kid includes Brian, um, and for once Brian begins to feel not so invisible. What I loved the most were the illustrations of this book. Not only are they so vibrant and beautiful, but the way Brian is in the black and white throughout the whole story when he's feeling invisible. Um, it was just such a cool aspect. And as soon as the new kid, Justin, starts to include him and make Brian feel like he's no longer invisible, you'll start to see little bits of color being added to Brian's image, which I just thought was awesome. And just the pictures alone, aside from that fact, I just felt were just so nice, so nicely done. It's a really great story and an even more beautiful picture book. Next is for my diverse population. My favorite book out of this was the book Fiesta, Celebrate Children's Day. The illustrations are bright, lively, and have a Mexican flair to it, which I thought was beautiful. I love the bilingual aspect to it, as students can read in both English and in Spanish. It celebrates Children's Day. It teaches them about the day and just gives them a reason to celebrate themselves. It encourages reading, which I really loved, and family time. It's very short, sweet, bilingual book that is perfect for read aloud in a classroom setting for maybe kindergarten and first grade. For my fantasy book, I actually had a hard time picking one, but I went with The Cats of Tanglewood Forest because I love cats. It's about a young girl, Lillian, who likes to wander around the forest. Um, she's bitten by a snake, and to save her, the cats of the forest turn her into a kitten. She goes on a long journey to find the possum woman that can help turn her back into a human girl. The color illustrations in this book again add a lot to the story, and it just gives it a really nice whimsical feel. Um, I enjoyed the book so much. Talked to my daughter about it, and I ended up purchasing it for her because I think she'd really love it because she's obsessed with cats. It's a really great, cute story. For historical fiction, I really love the I Survive series. We have quite a few of these. My son was pretty obsessed with these when he was in about third, fourth, and fifth grade. He'll still read them from time to time. So I chose the I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic, 1912. Um, they're real to life. They are based on real life events, but from a fictionalized child's perspective. They're a great teaching tool for an event such as the Titanic, or in this case here, the tornado of Joplin. Um, some parts could get a little intense, but it's real life and it's not overly done to put fear into the kids. It's just a really great series for kids to learn about historical incidents, and it's just really good. For the next one, I have informational books or biographies. I chose Abraham Lincoln. These two that I had read also were very simple and not a lot of information. They were good, but more for like, I would say preschool, kindergarten. I just found that this particular series, the National Geographic readers, um, this particular one being Abraham Lincoln, just gave a lot of great information. Um, for a young reader, easy to read, vibrant pictures. It touches and explains a little bit on the Civil War and slavery, but it's done at a kid's level, and it's just really, really nicely done. Um, for poetry, I'm not too big of a fan with poetry, but found The Days Like This by Simon James to be enjoyable. I loved how the poems are mostly about everyday life and nature, which I'm a big fan of nature and just getting out and exploring. The illustrations I thought were beautiful. They were a double page spread, and then you had the poem. So it just was a nice touch to each individual poem, and the illustrations really helped bring out each poem. Science fiction. I'm not too big of a fan of science fiction, but for this particular book, The Proto Project by Brian Johnson, I was able to get into this book with my son. He enjoyed it and found it to be, as he said, action-packed and suspenseful. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy. I enjoyed it through him. Just seeing his excitement and him talk about it made the book more enjoyable for me. It's basically $1 million invention, artificial intelligence, a boy named Jason and his neighbor Maya who must save the day. It was an interesting read. Not my favorite, but I enjoyed it just because I enjoyed it with my son. And lastly, for folk tales, I really enjoyed The Empty Pot, which is written by Demi. It's a story of courage and honor and telling the truth always. It was such an inspiring, beautiful story. Um, I love gardening and growing flowers myself, so I just, really just enjoyed this book. I do plan to purchase this for my daughter as well. It's a great story to have in a classroom for read alouds. The pictures are done, and I love the touch that the pictures are done with the traditional Chinese artistry. So I just think that adds a little bit to it, because the basic premise of this book is that this little boy is just a really good gardener, and the emperor is going to be selecting a new emperor to replace him, and it it just the whole process of growing, offering it to all the kids in the village, and having to grow a flower off of this one seed that the emperor gives. And it's just a really great story of honesty. So there you have it.